Hey, Happy New Year. Welcome to the first transaction review and calculator practice of January 2017. Okay, so for the purposes of this, and of course, just our standard disclaimer that this is my opinion only, should always consult your trusted advisors and professionals. Just for calculator practice, I like to do a couple minutes of this at the beginning of each meeting that we have. And this was a deal that someone called me about, a guy that does a fair amount of business doing a lot of flipping, and he started to own or carry a few of them, and he's trying to figure out how to put this deal together to make sure he's got the paperwork in place and Dodd-Frank compliant and all of that. But so he's got this house under contract to a guy for $138,000. I said, wow, because he's going, well, I want to sell the whole note. And I go, well, I don't really buy the whole note on green paper. But then I go, well, what's the down payment? And it's $85,000, right? I can't remember the percentage down. It's probably in one of the following slides, right? So actually, the amount should be switched, right? So it's really big down payment, and down here I only have a $53,000 note. So is this a totally different conversation than 10% down?
Yes.
Completely, right? I mean, you can't almost go wrong with this note, right? So I would buy this green in a heartbeat as long as everything else stacks up, right? The BPO and the appraisal comes through, and because it's very, very low risk. So now all we're talking is, yield, and does it make sense to both the note buyer and the note seller. The borrower can pay $1,000 per month. So here's where our practice comes in. We're going to pull up my little calculator here. Move this over to the side. All right. So basically we have, I'm just curious, 53,000. So if that's the loan amount and we divide it by the sales price, then it's only 38% loan to value. So really excellent, right? Can't hardly get any safer than that. So I put that in PV, present value or loan amount. And what else do I know? The first thing I know is he can pay $1,000 a month for principal and interest. He will pay taxes and insurance on his own. On top of that, so how can we set up the note? This investor says, look, I got this guy and I want to sell it to him with 85. I just don't know, how can we set up this note so that I'm happy with what I can get out of it? So let's just run a few numbers. If the note investor needs a 12% yield, let's just say plug in 12%. So if the face rate on the note is 5, so we plug in 5 here. First thing we have to figure out now is what? N, right? So basically 5 years. 53,000 a month at 5% interest will be fully amortized in 5 months, no balloon payment over here in future value. So if the investor needs 12, and this is what the note looks like, do any of you have the calculators in front of you just for kicks and giggles? Do you know what the number is going to be? So I put the 12 in here, and then I solve for PV to go, okay, if I want a 12% yield and I buy this whole note right after it's created, table funding or simultaneous closing, I would pay just under $45,000 for this note. So, that's a pretty small discount, right? Divided by 53,000, that's 85 cents on the dollar, right? So only a 15% discount to walk away with this cash. I actually don't know how much he has in it. But I'm just curious, if we recreate the note and he bumps the interest rate up to 9%, which is closer to private money rates, so we know he can pay $1,000 a month. We know the loan amount's that. Now we want to put the face rate of the note a lot higher. This number now is a lot higher, closer to what the investor is looking for. So the closer this number, the face rate on the note is to the yield expected by the end note buyer, the smaller the discount. since 5 is a lot farther away from 12 than 9 is, there's going to be a bigger discount for a note with 5% than 9%. So I'm going to solve for n. So that's going to take him a lot longer, right? Well, 8 more months to pay it off with a 9%. Not horrible for him, right? So anyway, so now I put that 12% in. So now if that's the way the note looks, and I put in 12, then I solved for what I could pay for that note. Now it's 49,070 divided by 5,300,000, I mean. So that's 93 cents on the dollar. Okay, any comments? David, Kathy, would you buy this note at a 12% yield? Any comments?
I would say yes with that coverage. You know.
Right. So it's super safe, right? And it's really decent return. And here's what I want to look at. Let's look at the full amortization here. And I hope you can see this. Is this easy to see? So what can you see this part right here? And if not, maybe Axel, when you're working this you can make it bigger somehow. But you can see that the total interest to be made is 18,700 over that, what is that, 5.5 years or so. And so because you're getting, like, from the get-go, you're getting $500, more than $500 in principal back. So there's a really aggressive return of principal, which keeps you super, super safe, right? But there's a certain thing where you put out 49,000, let's say, right, to buy this note, and you're going to make 18, and you're making 12%, which is a great yield. But that, some people will look at that and say, gosh, I'm going to tie up almost $50,000 for quite a time and only make 18,000 on it. And even though you're getting the principal back, it's hard to just like quickly redeploy every $500 that comes in. So some people will go, it looks like I'm making, a really good yield, and it just depends. Maybe this is, if it's a self-directed IRA account or something else, it could be just the perfect fit. But I would look at this and go, for the amount of time, for instance, I had a gal that said she had a note that would only have 3 years left on it. And she said, well, you're going to get your money back soon, so, you should be able to pay like 90 cents on the dollar for this thing. But the thing is, I would have to tie up $70,000 in order the total interest made over the term was only like 4,000 or 8,000 or something. So you're tying up 70,000, and in the end, you're making a great yield by the calculator, but is it worth the time to tie up that much capital? Does that make sense?
Yes, it all depends on your agenda. A 12% return to someone that would otherwise be making 1 or 2 is a terrific deal. But
right.
As you say, tying up 50,000 for 5 years or whatever it is, it all depends on your options. I mean,
right, your options and how nimble you are at redeploying, principal that comes back in, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So a lot of people will go, this looks really great in the calculator, but a lot of same people will go, well, I'd rather do a $50,000 interest-only loan for 3 years, and I know I'm going to get interest on all my money that whole time. You see, so it's just a different mindset. So I like all different kinds. I like different lengths of notes and all of that. But what I was is I'm still going to offer just a discount. Like I'm going to go, the most I'm going to do is like 80 cents on this thing. So I'm going to take the UPB, the unpaid principal balance of 53, because I want to make that 20% upside no matter what the yield says it is. So if I can only pay 42.4,